So today's topic, ESP advanced with SAML. The last time you might remember we did OIDC, which is the small brother of SAML. So now let's have a look into SAML and the integration of the LoadMaster into monitoring solutions. Part of that I already mentioned before, but I will use this topic now to exceed on this again. Our first topic, ESP authentication with SAML. So what is SAML? SAML is short. It's an acronym for Security Assertion Markup Language. It's a standard used for authentication at the moment. It's based on XML, Extensible Markup Language format, and allows you to do single sign-on authentication with multiple applications and so on. So you don't need to log in multiple times, which is pretty handy and a nice user experience. Loads of enterprise solutions have adopted that too for themselves. And because you have multi-factor options and so on, it increases your security quite well. So how does it work? The user tries to connect to their application. That application requests an authentication. So you need to you get redirected to the identity provider. You do your authentication with the identity provider portal. You get a token back, and with that token you can then access your pages or your applications. And between the identity provider and the application, there's a relation trust. Now, what do I need to know on the load balancer for that? That depends on how you set it up. So there's an option to do the setup automatically when you just upload a file, and it will take out all the links that it needs automatically from that file. Or if you select manual, you need to add the entity ID, the SSO URL, and the lockoff URL manually. Then you need to import the certificate of your SAML identification provider into the load balancer. And you also need to export the load balancer certificate because that's what they need for the trust check authentication, so that the identity provider knows the load balancer is allowed to request the trust on that. And the entity ID is the ID of the application that is set within the SAML identity provider, so that SAML knows, okay, what's the ID for that application. You remember in OIDC, it was one ID right at the top called application ID. So that's similar to the entity ID for SAML, where the certificate and everything is placed to and assigned to. And that's it. It sounds pretty simple, but I can tell you it's not. I worked with some customers from the UK recently on a cloud provider for SAML, and it's not as simple as it seems sometimes. I got you some articles as well, so we have some general information about SAML. Then I got you some debug traces on what should you see in the SSO manager traces when you try to work with SAML. What kind of issues will you see, and what indications do they give? There's SAML metadata. If you are interested in that, we have an article for that. And there's also an article for RDS, multi-factor authentication using SAML. So I thought it might round the whole offering up a bit. And now, having said that, let's do a demo on SAML, right? So can't be that bad. Now, is my my load balancer still there? Come on. Here we go. So my load balancer, I have a SAML SSO domain configured. Here it is, manually. So these are the links from my domain controller, and this is the name of my application ID placed here on the load balancer as well. Now, do I still have it open? Yes, I do. So this is what ADFS on Windows would look like. And as you can see, there are, let's start from the top. So that all the information you need, you find them step by step going through through the field. So you see services trust is in, it's my domain controller, is also my authentication provider. So from that part that returns or relates to the setup I've done on the LoadMaster. And then when you go through those points, this is the endpoints piece is actually where you find your links or some of them. So there's the metadata endpoint, and there is the proxy trust endpoint. So you find all of those links here in this list, which helped me to fill out the part on the LoadMaster. And then relying party trust. This is my application I have set up here. You see, this is the certificate imported from the LoadMaster. But looking at the identifier, so this is my the name here, but the relying party identifier is this, and this is now you can relate. That was what I also had selected here, so that now when I come with this as ID, the SAML authentication knows, okay, it's part of this guy. And then you can see my endpoints that are configured. So all of that is described in the article link that I have shown you or added. So we can have a look there. So it's the logout part and the normal access part. Cool. Now, where do I get the certificate of the where do I get the certificate of my authentication provider? So that's, here we go. That's something you can download straight away from here. And if that is all fine, like you see with me now, it's all set. I have all of those things filled out. You can go and have an application. For example, you see here, I have my application, SAML progressdemo.com. So let's go to this guy. Here we go. I got my redirect to HTTPS and now got redirected to my authentication provider, which is in my case Microsoft. And now I can log in. I have not enabled any multi-factor on this right now, just to keep it simple. But of course, you can create multi-factor authentication also for that. Now, what have I done? That's interesting. Have I changed my server? 1 second. Ah, crazy. We should continue with Kerberos, shouldn't we? So here we go. I probably have demoed something else the other day, so please bear with me. There we go. Why was that now? I have not set up Kerberos to continue to the backend server. So as the LoadMaster is a reverse proxy, we do the pre-authentication. So the client comes back to the load balancer VIP with the SAML token. But as we never had the username and the password together, we only had the username. We could not continue to the server with other information. My server was now asking for basic authentication. You saw that. That is because Kerberos was expected. It did a fallback to basic because no Kerberos ticket was sent. Now with me changing it to KCD and also deleting or disabling the server that has no authentication at all, now a Kerberos ticket will be sent back. to the application too, and we got authenticated. Now, what was my log off string? Just for me to see. Log out, okay. So let's log out once more just to see that. That's okay. My Windows is not fully finished, but we got redirected back and we have been logged out. So in order to show you the logs for that, because I want to make sure you get the whole thing, you see I've exported it right now. So I will keep it locally for now. And we try to use that application once more, just for you to see the logs as well. Here we go. User 1. And I'm logged in. Why does my page look so strange? I can explain that. You see there's one naughty header here, the authentication header. This is just enormous, and that's why my whole page is now moved aside. So that is because we went to the server in the backend with the authentication token. Just to show what happened, here in the user logs, you see that now user 1 came with a SAML authentication. We got the SAML response, so the token when he came back, we got that verified, and the user wanted to go to the normal page and to authenticate on the server side, we created a Kerberos ticket to pass it on to the server. Pretty neat. So that is what it's supposed to look like. Okay. Now, single sign-on is always a good question. And you might remember that I created the OIDC service for Exchange in the last webinar. So how about we do that now and we go to the same place, and instead of OIDC with Kerberos, we do SAML. So now I've done SAML and I will continue to the server with Kerberos. So this is Exchange now, as you can see here. Am I on ECP? Do I have an over as well? Here we go. Let's do it for over too. I've already done that. Nice. And going to my, this is probably old, going to my mail account. Yeah, you see I'm using a different browser now, so my token is gone. Fair enough, that's okay. What I wanted to show you is as soon as I log in to one of these, I can also use the others. So we got logged into one application and also logged into the second. I don't have to worry about logging in again or putting the password in again and so on. So that's pretty convenient. Single sign-on for me. Good. If there are any questions for SAML, please shoot in the chat or in the question section, and I will just change my no, we continue in the slide deck otherwise. Okay. The second topic for today. How can the load balancer be integrated into monitoring solutions? There are multiple ways to connect the load balancer to any kind of system. So you can use SNMP traps or the public string to call off the LoadMaster and see how's my service doing. Are my re-service available? What's the traffic flow? What's the general throughput? And so on. We can also export our own logs and stuff via syslog. So that helps some monitoring systems to get kind of insights on what's going on, there's a server down and stuff like that. Yep, I just see some questions coming in. I'll get to that in a second. Let me just finish this one. You also have the option to do some email logging. That means you can set certain levels that you get an email if something occurs, for example, from error onwards. You will see if a real server goes down or gets reinstated. Sometimes you have maybe a CTO or a manager of your company that wants only emergency or critical information. Then you can put an email there and they got only that level. The load balancer is 100% API driven, so you could use APIs to call all of those informations you're up to. So that means you can use nearly any monitoring system to call information. And then you have the collector, for example, that Vision did in the past. You might remember Kemp 360 Vision. And now for LoadMaster 360, there's also collector to collect logs, information, and status updates and so on. And something I haven't even written down here. Ooh, me now. We do have the network telemetry option as well to export flow data information to any monitoring system down that line. Now, while I was talking about monitoring systems, we had two questions in here. So Chris asked a question. Can I ask if there's a plan or a schedule for adding support for assertion customer service URL in SAML request? That's a good question, Chris. And I don't know, have you filled out an ask progress on that? Because we have, not ask, it's an idea portal. We have an idea portal for those things to elect. And the more people request those things and others vote for it, the sooner those things come in. So I'm as I said, I'm a pre-sales. I'm not the product management. So I would need to research that as well. I don't know. Honestly, I can't answer it from the top of my head, but I will look into this question. And what I would recommend is please go to our ideas portal, because you see ideas that are published there also. I forgot the dot. 1 second. Exactly. So we have a communityprogress.com option, and there you find LoadMaster, and you can add, after you sign in with your Kemp ID, you can add requests here, and you can read existing ones, and we can see. So I don't know, SAML. Let's see if I find some. So there's some ideas. At least it's not something 3 pages. You see there a lot. Please review. If the request you're looking for is in there, vote for it, and there you get a quick answer from product management directly. Answer is I've added a request, but no updates so far. Thank you, Chris. I will look into that request. Give me a sec. And you will get, I mean, I must admit, the product manager looking over it is American. I don't know when you have added that request, because in the last couple of days there were in the Thanksgiving part, but this is from February. Interesting. I will give a vote for that myself, and I will follow up on that. Okay, Chris? Now, James asked a question. What was the KB article number mentioned for SAML setup, please? It's part of the links, but look, I can review that. Kemp SAML. They changed all of those pages. It's something I really don't like anymore. Here we go. ADFS settings. We had a document at one stage. It's in my, 1 second. We go back. They've changed the page. Gosh. But that's the page anyway. All the information is in there, and it's now more like an interactive web page than a document. Pity, it was a document in the past. You could just scroll through. Now it has all different pieces. Brett, you had a question. So you asked if there is a specific license for SAML. No. If you have the ESP module, which is enterprise level, right? So if you see those manage SSO, then you have all you need license-wise. You can create a client-side SSO domain yourself, and then you can select what authentication provider you want. So it doesn't need to be called SAML. I just use that to make sure that I know which one what is. But you can, as soon as you create a client SSO domain, you can select what kind of authentication provider you want to use. I hope that helped. SAML into Azure. Alessandro, I'm not too sure yet. My problem with Azure is I couldn't put it in because in our Azure account, I have no rights to add something in that part there. You saw I had that already on the list, but I can't do it with a Progress Azure account. So I need to somehow get something privately because I have no admin rights in my Azure account for Progress. So I need to come up with something there. But I was going to maybe as soon as I have some access or to a private account, whatever, I was going to offer that as a topic to choose from here for the webinars as well. And then we will do a recording on that. But I can dig through the YouTube videos if someone has set up something for that. I know that some customers use it, but I'm not too sure if there's a video for it. But I will dig into that. Okay, now, nice, much more questions than I had in the other group, so that's cool. So back on our presentation, right? How can I export logs from the LoadMaster? I thought I give you some API calls for that, so you can save the entire normal logs, or here you see the extended logs, and then you can actually specifically say which ones you want: connection, security, or user logs. Then you can also send the extended logs by syslog. But if you enable that, there will not be saved locally on the load balancer anymore. That's something to be aware of. And we also have an external or an extra WAF log exporter. But now WAF logs are in the normal logs as well. So you can use the exporter to have only WAF logs, or you just do your filters correctly in the normal syslogs and you filter the WAF logs out. It's up to you. Useful links. I got you the link for the network telemetry. Maybe it also makes sense to add the API for that too. So let me just jump in here. This is the one to get all the links, or generally all the API calls, which include the network logs and so on, to pull them down, status and so on. And SNMP, I think, I don't know. It's so simple, so straightforward, as you only need to enable it. We have some, but I don't want to bore you with all of that. Syslog is similar to that because it's only adding the syslog client and then everything works by default. So I don't think there's anything I need to add. Maybe this one, beginning part. So there you go. Now we have a few links as well for exporting logs. And that brings us to the next demo. Now, because in Progress we do have monitoring systems in-house, I will show you Flowmon and also WAG. So let's see how my LoadMaster was connected to those. So first things first, you see I'm exporting to WAG, my normal syslogs. I'm exporting to Kemp 360 Central, and I'm exporting to LoadMaster 360, which is the newest product we will do a webinar in January about. And this is the setting that I said when you want to have your extended logs sent by syslog, you need to enable this. And then those logs will not be there locally anymore. So what I showed you earlier won't be written on the load balance anymore, but it will be exported. Good. So now I'm creating a bit more traffic again. Something to look out for if you change in Exchange from form-based authentication for OAuth to something else like Kerberos. Microsoft killed the lockoff string. As you could see here now, it just told me, yeah, close your browser and then reopen everything afterwards. They don't lock me out. So this is pretty bad. Normally with form-based, you might realize, or you might remember, there was a lockoff string being sent. And when that is sent, the load balancer can detect it and can actually work accordingly. So the lockoff string can be done manually, but with every update you do on Exchange, it will be killed again, and you need to set it again. So if you want to go through that trouble, fair enough. Just saying, if not, keep it with form-based. There, the lockoff string works fine, and then you can use, for example, Radius and LDAP together for the MFA, and you still have form-based going to the server, and you don't have that issue. But I just demoed here with OIDC and SAML, but then you will very likely run into this lockoff issue. Now, the cool thing is, you see, I'm locked out. I cannot log in again. Same thing here. I'm locked out. I cannot log in again. So that's correct after you're logged out. But as I mentioned before, if the log off doesn't work properly, then it's just half the battle, right? So that's definitely something to look out for. Good. So we're logged in, and I've created some traffic. That was actually my intention now. There we go. I created some traffic, and when I now go to walk, I should give this server a bit more resources. Walk is really needy. Come on, sleepyhead. Okay. So I think I did a log export webinar before, and I showed you how WhatsUp Gold can handle those. What I really like in WhatsUp Gold is that I can see my logs, and I can then create my own filters of what's going on, who is doing what with whom, and so on. And you could see now logs created. So user 2 logged in from Mozilla Firefox and was able to connect. And even when I go further, come on, latest ones, he went to OA, so there's a lot of OA now. OA again. Yeah, OA is a lot. Even before that, we should see the response verified and also the Kerberos we should see as well. Maybe my filter is not good enough. Let's have a look into mail alone. Here we go. That was the log off, log on. Yeah. So Firefox, WhatsUp Gold is recording those logs and serving them to me in a pretty nice way. You could also create filters on who has changed the system, what did they do, right? As you see, turned off certain pieces. You could filter on a specific virtual service or filter on only WAF or filter on only ESP if you want, but it can be filtered pretty nice. So that's the option in WhatsUp Gold when you export syslogs. As I said, I will be the SE for this, so I will train on December more into it. There might be even more I can show you. We will see. For Flowmon, we have this network telemetry option. So you can enter your Flowmon collection, your Flowmon endpoint, or if you have another system, I don't want to make any advertisement now for third parties, please go to Progress and buy our products. But if you have a third party product, you can enter that here too. And we would send IPFix data then to whatever endpoint you have entered. And you can select the fields that we should be able to export. And you can even select what interface traffic should be exported. So you see now I'm exporting ETH0 to ETH2. I do not export 3 and 4 because for me there's no traffic going on there, just for other purposes. So only everything that goes through those 3 interfaces is passed on. And now Flowmon receives those. Do I still have it open? Nope. Flowmon receives those information. Ha, long time no login. Now, here we go, finally. No, that was wrong. So there you go, my monitoring center, and I'm receiving loads of information from my load balancer VLM A1. This is the one we've just been on, you see, VLM A1. And all of the flows are seen from him. I have some from my VLMB system and also my connection manager system. So you see those three colors very, very much there. And now you have the chance to drill in to see even more, but that's Flowmon topic and not a topic of today. Cool. So that's simple. We can export it to a flow analyzing system like Flowmon, and it will then be seen there. Now, even though I'm going to demo that in January, to complete the whole part now, we should also consider the new product that we have launched recently. Which is LoadMaster 360. Now, not going too much into detail on that, but as you see, I have two different labs or two different sites, if you want to say it that way. One is my US lab in VMware, and the other one is the VMware Learning Cloud for the ones that participated in our hands-on training. That's that one. I have a total of 4 load balancer HA pairs in here that all report in here, and I can see incidences if something was wrong. So we had here an issue that 5 days ago, one of my load balancers was not reachable. That's true because I rebooted him. But anyway, I get informed about that, and the cool thing now, it's directly attaching knowledge base articles that can help me to resolve this issue, or even check if there was a config change that was initiating this, and we can even see if this issue has been occurred a few times over the last time frame. So that's pretty nice. I can also see generally how is my whole environment doing. Are my VIPs all up? How's the status of my HA pairs? Are they in a good mood? What logs do I have? What is not resolved yet? And now even in demo mode, I can show you even the status of your certificates, if they are still valid, or if you need to go in and replace an expired certificate, stuff like that. You can see authentication for your domains, for your different domains, what kind of application comes in, who is requesting that. You see how often or how frequent are people using your pre-authentication. You even see when people have been logging in wrongly too often and got a failed login. You even see the people that got blocked because they did too many failed logins, and you see the top 10 requests for all of the ESP applications and also the top 10 IP addresses for that. So it's pretty nice, gives you a lot of insight. I don't want to twist this webinar now to go in detail on this, but I just wanted to give you the option that yes, something like that with its own collector is able to pull information off the load balancer, all kind of IAM logs, but also status, what version is it, do we have an update for that, what's the CPU and memory, and so on, and all in a nice design on this SaaS solution, but more for this in January. Cool. And with that, I thank you all very, very much